I want to start by having you tell people who you are. You're a mom, you've got 3 kids. What role does autism play in your life?
Autism is my life. You're
I hear
right.
you.
I have 3 boys. I have twin sons who are 21 who have autism. So we just are going through the transition into adulthood with them and for them. And then I also have a 19-year-old son who does not have autism, who is a sophomore in college majoring in special education.
Wow.
So we are a perfect example of how autism just truly, truly shapes your life, because my professional life is also devoted and dedicated to autism through my job at Autism Speak.
Wow. Well, you're an amazing woman and you make an amazing difference. You work for Autism Speaks, but you used to also work for March of Dimes. Am I correct?
Yes, absolutely. So the twins were actually born 4 months early. And I got very involved with March of Dimes with their mission to give every baby a healthy start in life. So the beginning of my career after children was with March of Dimes, and then I was there for 14 years and joined Autism Speaks in 2009.
Well, we're so glad that you are working, and you're the vice president of the chapter. Is it chapter development for Autism Speaks?
Yep. One of our major strategic priorities for this year and moving forward is to really start to put our chapters in place and become a chapter-based organization. So that is definitely my focus.
Okay, talk to us a little bit about what an Autism Speaks chapter is and what it means and why that will make a difference for people.
Absolutely. So Autism Speaks began really in 2006 when we had a lot of we had legacy organizations that were doing wonderful work, and Autism Speaks brought those legacy organizations together. And what was common to those organizations was a walk program. So we have a strong history in a lot of walks and a lot of communities that have a really large walk, and that's been kind of the one piece of community activity that's been consistent. But now we're growing beyond that. You know, our walks are wonderful, and I'd love to talk to you a little bit about what they do and how they bring our community together. But we're moving beyond that. So the chapter piece actually is truly that. It's taking a community, it's putting together a more structured program with a board of directors, and it really facilitates so much more activity, both in terms of that fundraising component, but also what we can give back to the community. And we're ready for that.
Okay, cool. And you mentioned the walk because, and I live here in Los Angeles and I participate in the LA walk. It's an amazing thing. And we talk about that on the show all the time. It's life-changing for parents, but you have so many walks. How many walks are there now and how many people total do you have participate?
We have close to 100 walks that take place throughout the year, and about 500,000, 500,000 walkers take to the streets here. And I've been to the LA walk, and it is one of our most fabulous walks, but we've got lots of them that are so unique and so special.
We actually read a letter yesterday. We had asked some of our parents if they wanted to write in to say anything. Somebody wrote in a beautiful letter that I'll have to forward to you guys about the difference that Autism Speaks made in her journey. And she participated in the first year that her child was diagnosed in a walk, and then joined the committee. And and really a glowing letter, a testament to what you guys do and what a difference the walk makes. And it's something that I respond to because I always say, boy, get yourself to a walk. You need a mind shift, get yourself to a walk. It's going to be a fabulous thing. But from your perspective, what are some of the reasons? I don't want to hog all the praise, but what are some of the things that you are always looking for families to gain by going to the walk?
I think first and foremost, it's really for a new family with a newly diagnosed child, or a family that's had a child with autism for years but just hasn't connected. It's a sense of community.
Yeah.
I think more than anything else, you take a step onto the grounds of one of our walks and you realize you're not alone.
Yeah.
And I think when you look at a lot of other organizations and a lot of other walks, because almost every charity has one, it's sometimes really hard to put a face to that cause. And we don't struggle with that. You know, you get to a walk and you see a child having a meltdown or just not wanting to be there. And instead of seeing people look at that family like, oh gosh, what's going on there? You see 5 people that have never met them before reaching out to help.
Yeah.
And you leave there with such a sense of, gosh, I'm not alone in this journey anymore. You know, I have the opportunity a lot of times to stand on the stage and address the crowd, and I ask them to turn to the right and turn to the left, and if it's somebody that they've not met before, to introduce themselves, because truly you can bond over a couple of hours and meet somebody that's really going to be important to you in getting through the journey together.
Well, I completely concur. You know, the first time we went to a walk, that was exactly the thing that hit me as we came into the parking lot at the Pasadena Rose Bowl, and I saw that many people. The first thing that came out of my mouth was, I said, look, we are not alone.
Right.
We are not alone, and it really was a huge mind shift. But what I discovered, because, you know, you hear about the walk, and it's easy to think, okay, well, it's a walk, and it's about raising money, and there is a walk, and there is money raised, but I gotta say, there's so much else that happens at the walk that's so inspirational. First of all, as you said, having an opportunity to see all those people and know how much support and to know you're not alone, but there's so much else, not the least of which is the resource fair. Can you talk a little bit about those?
Yes, absolutely, because that is, I think, the most unique and the most special part of our walks is that resource fair. So, and especially you've been to the LA walk. That is just booth after booth after booth of all kinds of resources and community connections for you to make. And so you literally go from booth to booth and talk with people and get information and leave there with, you know, I would say a to-do list for yourself. You know, that next week you've got a host of resources and support to make connections with if you didn't make them actually the day of the walk, which I've seen that happen quite a bit too.
Absolutely. I leave with sometimes 2 huge bags full of information to pour over, and I start getting emails for the things that I signed up for. And there have been so many times where maybe I went to walk, I got a piece of information, and I did not need it then, but I have needed it later on, and then I keep a binder of all the things I get at each walk, and I refresh it every year, and I can go back to the binder and go, where is that piece of information I got at that resource walk? It's been so helpful to me.
That's a best practice I'm going to share.
Yes, it's a huge zip binder, and I every year I take stuff out and say, do I need to keep this, and put the new stuff in. It's it's like my autism telephone book. It's just great.
That's a great idea. But you know, as we've grown too, we've actually seen, and I was going to say some of our larger walks, and that's not really fair. It doesn't matter what the size is. It really matters what the planning committee and the strength of that committee does. But we have seen some separation and kind of distinction for new families. So we've got a newly diagnosed tent in a lot of our walks, and then an adult services tent. So there's something for everybody along every element of this journey.
Absolutely. And I should say, last year, within a 2-week time period, I went to the LA walk, and then I had need to be in upstate New York, and I went to the Oswego walk like a week later, and arguably, you know, I mean, the walks are different sizes and different things, and LA, one of the biggest, and I would imagine that the Oswego one was on the smaller end.
Yep.
It was just as inspirational to me. I was, you know, in a corner with a bunch of parents, and we were wiping tears away and hugging each other and sharing resources. It really uplifting and amazing.
The one that I've been to is always my favorite.
I'm sorry.
My next favorite is right around the corner. There's something special about every single one of them, whether you're standing with nearly 30,000 people or you're standing with 3,000 people. It's just a unique sense of community.
Absolutely. So Kathy, how can communities get more involved, and how can individuals get more involved?
The easiest way for an individual to get involved is to go on our website, and right up at the top it says Attend a Walk. Click on there and look and see, because it'll take you to a map of the United States and Canada where every single one of our walks are. But it's just not our walks. Like I'm saying, you know, there's a walk happens once a year. autism happens every single day of the year.
Yes.
So we are really building a more of a menu of ways to get involved. And Chicago has this wonderful, wonderful program called Community Ambassadors, that when somebody calls the office and says, can I get involved? The answer is yes. And the answer just isn't yes, we'll get back to you. The answer is yes. We have this program called Community Ambassadors. They invite everyone in, and we're actually rolling this out as part of that chapter rollout. They come in, they train the ambassadors, and we have over 100 people that then go out into the community and share our resources. They share the 100-day kit. They share our transition toolkit and sit down with people and really spread that word. So there are ways, they're just two, right? So there are ways for people to get involved that meet their needs, and that's important too. What do you want to do? Because we'll have a way to fit what your needs and your desires and your time commitment availability is.
That's a great, great thing. Great service that you guys are doing, like so many things that you do. I just have to thank you. This is a wonderful, wonderful aspect of our lives, my family's life. Every year, it's a touchstone for us. We go to the walk, and now all these years later, I look back and go, look at how much progress. And I always measure it by the walk. It's a great, great event. Has taught us so much, and we really appreciate the work that you do. And especially, my goodness, I don't know how you have the time with twins that are 21 years of age on the spectrum and a 19-year-old who's off to college. You're a busy lady.
I'm a busy lady, but I'd love to just say you made that comment that we've come such a long way, and for any parent who has had that age of 21 or whatever that age is in your state, because that varies a little bit, looming ahead, who are really worried, that you leave the safety net of school and that little bus coming around the corner to take your child back to school every single day. And, there was always such a comfort there. My boys have handled the transition into adulthood so well.
Oh,
so
good.
well. They love going to work. They both have jobs, paid jobs. They get on the public transportation. And that stuff was so scary before. And I truly, truly credit Autism Speaks for making it not so scary. It's the opportunities for our kids are so much more than they were 5-10 years ago, and that's progress.
Well, I really appreciate you saying that. When we were talking with Lisa yesterday, and she was talking about the transition to adulthood kid, and I was saying, my son is 9, and I was saying, I'm going to need help further down the road, and I know where to go to get it.
Right.
And I love hearing that both of your kids that are on the spectrum have jobs and are able to use public transportation. I just want to hug you. That is so awesome. And sometime we'll have to have you back on the show to talk more about that, because that's amazing.
Absolutely. Whenever. I'm here.
Well, I so appreciate it. So great meeting you, and thank you for giving this great information. And of course, people can go to www.autismspeaks.org. We talked about yesterday, wealth of information. I really encourage people to go and sit down and take a couple of hours and just take a tour of your site. So exciting.
And don't wait for that walk date to roll around to make that call. Get involved today.
All right. Absolutely.